that I always find it's not a bad idea to do is just to let people know you are now going to be recorded. Out of respect for people's privacy. If you don't want someone to know you're here, duck off. All right, so welcome. It is now 10:03. Welcome to the Woostapreneurs in October. My name is Diane Darling. I am new to the SBA. We also have Eli, Bob, and Carlos who are here with us from the SBA. We're going to have an introduction part. So you're going to have an overview of today's session, and then we're going to have two breakout sessions that you're going to go into breakout rooms, and you'll be in smaller groups. And so I'm going to be the person behind the scenes running the Zoom. I'm going to be keeping tabs on the chat. If there's any technical issues you have, I will do my best to help out with that. And so I'm actually running a couple different screens here because of my technical stuff. So I believe, Eli, you're kicking this off, or is Bob kicking this off? Because I'm looking at too many screens now.
Thank you, Diane. Bob is actually kicking us off, and Bob, the floor is all yours.
All right, I'm going to stay focused on letting people in. I will be behind the scenes and certainly message me, but Bob, we'll turn it over to you.
Okay, wonderful. Good morning, everyone, and thank you to Tim and the Worcester Chamber of Commerce for hosting today's celebration of small business. And this is our 5th annual Woostapreneurs Forum. So really amazing that 5 years have gone by since we started partnering with the Worcester Chamber for this event. But to all of the chamber members who are on the call today, you have an amazing advocate in Tim and the entire chamber staff. So definitely kudos to the Worcester Chamber. So and certainly want to thank the Worcester Chamber for your support of the SBA in our programs. You're a true partner, and I appreciate it. So again, my name is Bob Nelson. I'm the SBA Director for the state of Massachusetts. Thank you all for being here to help celebrate small business and entrepreneurship. I've been with the federal government for nearly 30 years. I've been through a number of cycles, including 9/11 and the economic crisis of 2008. But I don't have to tell you, 2020 has been a year like none before. Small businesses in every single corner of the United States have been seriously impacted and have had to pivot to address the many challenges we're all facing in a COVID world. But anyone who knows me knows that, like a proud parent, I rejoice in the success of small businesses here in Massachusetts, but I also feel their growing pains, their struggles, and their disappointments. So at this point in time, I really like to offer up our thoughts to our peers and to the families who have really experienced some very significant hardships over the past 7 months. But this event is about celebrating the excitement, the potential, the promise, and the success of small businesses in Massachusetts. Small businesses, they turn an idea into a vision and a vision into a goal. They then chase it and take it it takes on a life of its own. So bravo to all the small businesses here today for your energy, your passion, and your fearlessness. And I can tell you, small businesses are starting even in this environment. So, to all of you who are just thinking about starting a business, you're in the right place. But SBA, we've been in the news big since the start of COVID-19, and Massachusetts was actually one of the first states in the U.S. to get a full statewide declaration. In 6 months' time, together with the help of our partners across the state, we've delivered close to 250,000 approvals under PPP, EIDL advances, representing over $18 billion. That's just in Massachusetts. And nationwide, we did over $525 billion in PPP loans for 5.2 million small businesses. It really is incredible when you think of it. And the program was stood up in just a week's time. There were bumps along the way. Guidance continued to flow from the very start with changes and new information. But it's worked, and it's got a lot of capital into the hands of small businesses. And I can tell you that the small businesses that I speak to, they absolutely tell me that it's only because of the SBA programs. that they're around today and still in business. So I want to put in a plug for the SBA staff. Over the course of the last 7 months, we've answered thousands of emails and phone calls. I absolutely have one of the best SBA offices in the entire country, and we have Eli Spayu, our lead lender relations specialist, Carlos Hernandez, one of our other stars in the office on the lender relations side, but Diane Darling, who we're very fortunate to bring on to help us with COVID recovery and outreach and economic development. So a great team. So I applaud all of your work and am so proud to work with you. But in talking about partners that make it happen, I always want to recognize our resource partners. SCORE, the Worcester SCORE chapter is amazing, and it's led by Van Leichter and Doug Torella. The Massachusetts Small Business Development Center at Clark University, led by Richard Cheney. The Center for Women in Enterprise in Central Mass, led by Michelle Miller. We have an amazing group of small business experts who are part of our team here in the Commonwealth, offering free and confidential business advice and mentoring. What we want you to know and to leave with is that you are not alone in this journey. You have the SBA and its partners to help guide you. But in addition to the SBA resources, there's countless others. Our friends from the Commonwealth, cities and towns across Worcester County, and chambers of commerce, just like the Worcester Regional Chamber, economic development organizations, plus so many lending partners from across the state. If we didn't have these lending partners and these community partners, we would not have been able to achieve the results that we did, and it was significant. And I know the bankers who are on here today, you worked long hours in order to get those PPP loans done and the money into the hands of small businesses. So tremendous long hours and efforts, but it's because of all of us together that we're helping the Massachusetts economy to recover and to start moving on a path forward. But last week I had the SBA administrator in Boston for the day and got to visit with a number of small businesses and to hear of their stories. And then the week before, we had our National Small Business Awards event. We had a virtual event where we recognized 13 awardees from across Massachusetts. And I would be remiss if I didn't put in a plug for the Massachusetts Small Business of the Year, who's from Worcester. And so Brian Geisel, he's the CEO of Geisel Software. So if you know Brian, definitely give him a pat on the back and congratulations for being named the Massachusetts Small Business of the Year. But our virtual audience got to meet and hear from some of the very best small businesses in the state, just like the businesses that you're going to hear from today. And so I'm certainly looking to hear the stories of the businesses that Eli and the Chamber have assembled today. But I do want to put in a plug very quickly for economic injury loans. So PPP is currently not available. We're not doing the advanced grants, but we're still accepting applications for economic injury disaster loans. And you would apply directly with the government at sba.gov/disaster. Currently, SBA, we're doing loans up to $150,000. Perhaps when a couple months ago, no one knew how long this disaster was going to go on. You didn't know the true extent of your economic injury. Know that you can apply through December for an economic injury loan. So, it's a very different program than PPP. It provides you with working capital so that you could meet obligations that you otherwise would have been able to meet had the disaster not occurred. Very reasonable and flexible terms. So, perhaps Eli and Carlos will talk about that later on in one of the breakouts. But that's it for me. I've probably gone over my time, but in closing, I just want to say, go small business. Remember, you're not alone in this journey. Tim, thank you again for the opportunity to partner, and I hope that we're together face-to-face in the very near future. So thank you.
Bob, thank you so much. And we're going to have Tim up next. For those of you who have just joined us, we're at 93 strong, shy of 100. There's a note in the chat if you want to change your name, add your company, or anything along those lines. If you are in a noisy area, kindly mute yourself. So Tim, if you will, jump in, and look forward to hearing from you.
Well, thank you, Diane, and good morning to everyone. I want to start off first with a couple of thank yous. First to Bob Nelson and his entire team with the United States Small Business Administration. We had the privilege to be able to work alongside you and your team as you ramped up an incredible time to meet an incredible need of our business community. Here at the Worcester Regional Chamber of Commerce, in March, we opened up our services, and we did so for 6 months to all businesses to help answer questions, make referrals, and work with them in a variety of ways. But on a regular basis, that was working with Bob and his entire team here in Central Massachusetts. And so we just want to say thank you to you. The work that you've done has been invaluable to so many of our members and to so many businesses throughout Central Massachusetts. And 90% of our businesses here at the Worcester Regional Chamber of Commerce are small businesses in the truest sense. So again, your partnership has been very, very helpful. And as Bob mentioned, it is exciting that even in this time of tremendous challenge, we see the resiliency of our small businesses, and even in this environment, entrepreneurs who want to come forward and have begun to start their own businesses. So this is a challenging time, but continues to remain exciting. And it really underscores what our mission is all about here at the Chamber. Recruit, retain, incubate on a daily basis. We're looking to recruit investments in companies to Central Massachusetts and our Chamber service region. Retain, we advocate for policies that help retain existing businesses and allow them to grow and expand, and then incubate. And that's really what the Woostapreneurs event is about, fostering business formation, incubation from all facets of our community, whether you're a new American, someone who's here recently, a student, somebody's at a point in their career where they want to change and pursue that entrepreneurial spirit. So we're just excited that we could be working with you, and our partnership with the SBA also manifests itself through our relationship and SCORE's presence here in our office on a regular basis. So we want to thank the SCORE team as well. And I also want to thank our Chamber team led by Karen Pelletier and Sharon Williams and Lily Zanotti, who work on our programs and events for their partnership and working with the SBA and bringing, as Bob mentioned, our 5th Woostapreneurs Forum to fruition. With that, I want to thank our supporters of this event. We have seen how important our banks and in particular our community banks are in the region, and TD Bank is much like a community bank in the region, but so many of our community banks and community-oriented banks have stepped up to be there for businesses and completely changing their operations to be able to facilitate the Paycheck Protection Program and the Economic Disaster Injury Loan to answer those questions and to be able to serve the needs in an unprecedented time during an unprecedented challenge. So to our banks, we want to say thank you to our supporters of this event, our elite supporter, TD Bank, our gold supporter, DCU, a credit union that has got a strong presence in the region, Bank Hometown, Country Bank, Webster 5, People's United Bank, and then S&G Business Consultants and Certified Public Accountants, and then the Worcester Food Hub, which is a partnership that the Chamber's involved with, looking to incubate and grow food-related businesses, which have been so much a part of the Worcester Renaissance and underscores the diversity in our community. So thank you to our supporters. And with that, I'm going to turn it over our supporting greeter here from TD Bank, Jennifer Mckay. She's the Vice President of Business Development. We're at the SBA division at TD Bank. And Jennifer, thank you again for TD being a supporter of this great event. Jennifer Mckay.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Yes, a nod? Okay,
Yes.
perfect. Just wanted to make sure. My name is Jennifer Mckay, and I am an SBA lender at TD Bank. I did personally want to thank everybody for joining today for the 5th annual Woostapreneurs event, although it's the first virtual event. I am amazed by the number of participants that have joined. I wanted to share that as a mother of 4 and a grandmother as 1, I truly understand how valuable our time is right now and how our resources are so thin. Several of us are working from home. So I truly appreciate you taking the time to be here. And all I can hope from this event today is that everyone who attends leaves here feeling that they benefited from this event in a way that can either assist them to starting, expanding, or sustaining their business. And with that, I turn it back over to Eli.
Well, Jennifer, thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. Once again, it is a great pleasure to host this 5th annual Woostapreneurs Forum here, the first virtual one, and amazing to see that we've got close to 100 people on this webinar today. So my name is Eli Spayu. I oversee the SBA loan products here in the Commonwealth, and it has been, as Bob mentioned, a challenging year, but yet again, to have been able to help so many small businesses, it's really it's been the highlight of our jobs, and we're just we're just happy to be able to share with you all some success stories. We're always inspired by the stories of entrepreneurs, and not only the challenges that they've overcome in this very difficult year, but their journey to success. So as in years past, we start this this forum with highlighting a few local small businesses, and I know there are numerous success stories in our region, but we've handpicked a few that are going to share with us their journey, and hopefully you'll all be as inspired as I have been hearing from them. Just want to remind everybody that we are running 10 minutes behind schedule, and this panel is going to continue until 11, at which time we're going to convert over to the breakout sessions. So it is my great pleasure to introduce to you all the moderator of this success story panel, Monica Yuli of the Yuli Consulting Group. Monica, take it away.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Sorry for a little bit of background noise, but I wanted to just say that I'm very excited to be here today, and thank you for thinking of me to host. My name is Monica Hughley, and I am a former, still former and current entrepreneur, but my background is in small business development, as well as entrepreneurship and academia, and so thank you for having me. So I'm going to get started. What I'd like to do first and foremost is I would like each one of the panelists to take just a few minutes to introduce themselves. And to the audience, if you have any questions, please put the questions that you have in the chat, and we'll try to either answer them at the end of the session or at the breakout sessions. And so the first panelist, if you could just take a few minutes to kind of introduce yourself, tell us what your business is and what made you choose entrepreneurship as a career choice, and then what does it mean to you to be an entrepreneur? I know that's kind of loaded, but and if we can start with Natalie first.
Thank you, Monica. Can you hear and see me okay?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So my name is Natalie Rodriguez. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be on this panel. This is definitely something new for me because I'm the baby probably in this forum, right? We just opened in January. I'm the owner of Worcester. It's a restaurant on 153 Stafford Street in Worcester. What it meant to be an entrepreneur, I wrote down the questions here. Basically, I just decided I didn't want to work for anybody else. I wanted to just be able to work for myself. It's not that it was easier to do so, because by any means, it's so much easier to be an employee rather than employer. However, it's always been something since I could remember, since I was a teenager. I always knew that I wanted to be my own boss. So I am, we decided, through COVID, I ended up opening another business. So with all the guidance that I've gotten, and I know we'll get into that in a little bit later in the panel, but you know, I've been able to even open up a second business within the same Nuestra brand that we'll go into a little bit later as well. But again, Natalie Rodriguez, 153 Stafford Street. I'll put my website in the chat as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Natalie. And our next panelist, Stacy, could you introduce yourself, please?
Sure. Well, good morning, everyone. It's such an honor to be on this panel. I am Dr. Stacy Chin. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Hydroglide Coatings, and we are developing the first ever self-lubricating condom coating. So what does it mean to be an entrepreneur? So for me, being an entrepreneur is solving a problem and trying to develop a solution that could help other people out there. And right now, one of the challenges we're trying to solve is due to the usage of condoms. We are at 1 million STDs a day. There are no devices out there that can give dual protection for families and women, especially for contraception and also for family planning measures. And the condom hasn't been changed in over 70 years. And that's a big issue since everyone has a negative connotation of condoms. And this is a big problem recognized also by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and the National Institute of Health. So we've received funding and support from those agencies as well. So we're really excited for our developments and trying to solve and tackle a big global issue.
Thank you, Stacy. And next, is it Nigel? Okay.
Monica, Nigel is on the call, but maybe he's having technical difficulties.
Okay, all right. Well, in the interim, we can go with David, our next panelist.
David, you need it. Let me unmute you, David.
Got it?
There you go. All right. We got to hear you. That doesn't make sense.
The people I work with might say I'm better off on mute. So David Fields from Wormtown Brewery. As a Worcester born and raised guy, 01604, I do want to say to our last panelist, I find it fascinating. I'm extremely proud that the pill was created in Worcester, and now the self-lubricating condom is going to be created in Worcester. I think that's fascinating. So from Worcester, born and raised, obviously managing partner of Wormtown Brewery. One thing I do want to say is that I was not the founder of Wormtown Brewery, but I was part of their team from the very beginning. Ben and Tom were the real true visionaries behind the brewery. But when I joined the team as the managing partner, we had 4 employees and we're working out of about 900 square feet. Today we have about 55 and now work out of close to 30,000 square feet. So I do feel the entrepreneurial spirit that has been part of what is Wormtown Brewery. For me, the inspiration to become part of this effort and this team over here was that I came from a corporate background. And the entrepreneurial spirit in my mind is having the opportunity to be nimble, to create, to innovate, and write your own rules along the way. And, you know, I've grown up in beer. I'm still in beer, but I came from a corporate background in beer where we were told what to do, when to do it, how to do it, and our job was to execute. But the entrepreneurial spirit that our entire team here at Wormtown really possesses is the idea of writing our own rules every day, doing what we want, how we want, when we want, and really being able to inspire that creative spirit. You know, my personal goals coming here was to be able to sit on camera and drink beer at 10:30 in the morning and not feel bad about it. So that's why I jumped into the entrepreneurial world.
Thank you, David. All right, and last but not least, is it Nigel?
Yes, it is. Hi.
Okay, hi. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. So Nigel Belgrave, I'm with Pure Clean. We are a property damage cleanup company. Before I get going too much, let me just say I'm having some real internet problems on this end today, of course. And so if I suddenly freeze up on you, that's why. But we are a property damage company here in Worcester. We do fire, water, mold, damage cleanup. So anytime a fire takes place in the home, we come in, deodorize, remove burned items. Flooded homes, burst pipes, flooded basements, we come in, do the drying, the cleanup. And we do a lot of mold jobs. So anytime people have mold problems, we come in and clean it up and make it safe for people. Why did I become an entrepreneur? Was just looking for something different. I had been in corporate banking for a while. It had served me well, but I was just really ready to take on new challenges and do my own kind of thing. And I found entrepreneurial world just really attracted me. I was not sure what I was going to do, and did a lot of research and ended up in restoration. Not so much planned, but it just kind of appealed to me and I went with it. It's funny because entrepreneurial, the business is only part of your world. It's all the other problems that you have to take on, all the other challenges of running a business and not just doing the business. That is what really keeps it fascinating and interesting to me. So I'm excited, having a good time. The city of Worcester has treated me well. SBA have helped me out on a couple of occasions. So very happy to be part of this forum.
Thank you, Nigel. Okay, let's get into the questions. So entrepreneurs are recognized as having a unique ability to recognize opportunities, to demonstrate flexibility, and to adapt to what is happening to maximize their success. How do you identify the opportunities and make decisions? And then also, how do you know if those decisions are going to be successful and or good ones for your business? Who wants to take that one?
I'll go first. So I think, you know, being adaptable, you know, this question definitely falls into the whole, you know, COVID-19 hitting and stuff. And so being a brand new restaurant, you know, we opened in January 6th. And then, you know, I had a major death in the family in February. And then we came back from the burial and literally 2 weeks later, we got shut down. Not shut down, but like, you know, the world kind of just stopped for a second, right? And so not knowing what's going to happen, not knowing what you could do, and just knowing that you could be able to be in a situation where you could potentially get shut down because places where that was happening. So what do you do in this case, you know? And people are scared to leave their homes. People, you know, didn't know if you were safe. And so it was one of those things where you have to adapt to any situation. You have to be able to be okay with changing up what you do. And so what we started doing was just kind of creating different specials. And, you know, we decided to go ahead and start with family meals and things like that so that people were at home. You know, you could be home all the time and have all the food in the world, but there's nothing like a meal out where you don't have to cook for it. You know, some people like to cook, but then others just don't want it. It just tastes different. Some people say, you know, hey, I had a conversation with someone yesterday, and I was like, you can make the bagel, the egg, and the, you know, bacon, egg, and cheese bagel. You have everything there, but they're like, it's not the same. And so we decided to go ahead and do some of these specials and have people eat with their eyes first, and then with their stomach, and then with their heart, because, you know, our biggest thing for Nuestra was, you know, it means ours. Nuestra means ours. And so we wanted it to be for everybody and have that, you know, grandma feeling for our food. And so that was one of the things. So definitely being able to adapt and just be okay with it. You know, it was super stressful at first, but then it was like, just go with the grain and just roll with the punches. I think, you know, on our end is would be my answer to that question.
Wonderful, thank you.
Can I
Would
follow
someone else
up
like
with a
to-
question?
Sure, go ahead.
May I? For Natalie?
I think we're going to put all of the questions in the chat if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, I'm sorry. My bad. I apologize.
No problem at all. Just for the interest of time, would anyone else like to address the question? Okay, well, we'll move on to the next question. When you look back at when you were starting your business here in Worcester, why did you choose Worcester? And then what made this city such an attractive place to start your business? What were some of the key resources that you needed? How were you able to access those key resources? And what was it like to, work with them? As well as how have you worked on developing your entrepreneurial network in Worcester and in the Massachusetts area? With Stacy or
I'll jump in a little bit on this one.
Okay.
For me, and I know our group over here, Worcester was home. So we didn't come to Worcester; we were here. I always like to refer to myself as a Worcester fanboy. I literally grew up in the same zip code that our business is located today. But I posted the other day on some social media sites all of the accolades that Worcester has received recently, and 52nd greatest city in the country, or one of the top 10 on Forbes to raise a family in, and you can go on and on and on over the last couple of years. But I had left Worcester I moved to South Carolina for 5 years, lived in Ohio for a year, lived in Chicago for a period of time. And when I came back, you're talking about the mid 90s. And people often said, why'd you come back? You had left. What is it that brought you back to Worcester? And I'm talking more about the cultural scene, but there is literally, this city has always offered a little bit of everything. We had enough of a population to have a big enough, base to create a business in. But we had enough diversity. We're close enough to Boston. We're close enough to New York. We can be in ski mountains in an hour or minutes if you talk to the Crowleys up at Wachusett. We can be in the coast and on the ocean within an hour very easily. And I used to just say to people, where else can you live and be an hour from any one of those things? And I just thought that was a great place to plant the flag of my own personal life, and I know my partners as well. And then for us, we just kind of looked around and said, well, we want to be in beer, and we don't want to pay for beer, so we want to make beer. And when you look at the actual the business network and the civic and from City Hall's perspective, there was a lot to offer here. One thing is very important for beer, and that's water. Believe it or not, many people always say, my goodness, you make beer with water from Worcester. And simple fact of the matter is that Worcester has phenomenal water quality. And that's very important for our beer. In addition to it, you have a significant business background in the production of beverages with Polar Beverages. So the municipalities that are here in the city of Worcester were very strong, used to the types of production support that we need, whether it's electricity, whether it's wastewater management, huge issue for beverage production, whether it's soft drinks or whether it's alcohol beverages like we make, and that was an enormously attractive component to the city of Worcester for us. And then at every step of the way, all of the leadership within the city and the community have been incredibly receptive to helping us find locations. The spot we're in today was directly from leadership, at City Hall coming to us saying, we understand you're looking for new location, showing us location after location after location, introducing us to small business opportunities, introducing us to, oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank, our friends across the street on Shrewsbury Street, who help out so many businesses when they're finding locations, and now I'm drawing a blank, but it's been welcoming with open arms. Craig Gates's group, I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank, but Craig Blaze, sorry. And it's just been super, and being part of the community was the most important for us.
Thank you so much, David. Would anyone of the other panelists like to chime in?
Sure, I'll jump in here too, and David brought up some excellent points here too. I came in, so I'm a scientist by training, and I did my PhD in Boston. And so when I was trying to start my my business, I was looking for a lab space and also a tight-knit community as well too. And Boston has excellent resources there, but it's highly competitive. And and it was just so saturated where lab spaces were astronomical and up the roof. So Worcester had so many great opportunities for me, even as a scientist as well, too, to do my startup here as well. So, and like David said too, when so we have a space in, before it was the Worcester Clean Tech Incubator, which is now Worcester Idea Lab, and everyone there welcomed me with open arms, and even in the chamber and everyone in the community, they're so tight knit, and it was so easy just to get resources in the area. If I say, hey, I need some insurance help, who do I reach out to? If I need to look at other areas or network with other fellow scientists, entrepreneurs in my space, there were so many in the Worcester community as well too. And I always have a soft spot for Worcester, as I'm also a Holy Cross grad of 2012. So go Crusaders there. So I was really excited to be part of the Worcester community and come back to start my next chapter there.
Thank you, Stacy. Okay, we're going to move on to the next question. So your businesses, all of you guys' businesses are now well-established businesses, and you've moved past the startup stage. When did you realize that you were in business and not just a solo entrepreneur? Also, how do you let go and trust others to represent your business and to work with your clientele? And then how do you find and hire competent people to work for your company? And what criteria do you use when looking to bring on new employees, managers, and staff? Who would like to take that question?
See if we can get the
Nigel?
ball started then.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
Nigel?
Yes,
Nigel,
now I'm
okay.
back. I got kicked off. I was back. I'm frozen. I missed half of what the question was. So we have to scroll back a little bit.
Would you like me to reread it for you?
If you would, yes, real quick.
Okay.
Give me the
All right.
highlight.
Well, so basically I'm asking, so, you guys are past the kind of nascent entrepreneur stage. And so you've moved past the startup stage. And when did you realize that you were like in business, like a full-fledged business? How do you let go and trust others to represent your business with your clients? And then also, how do you hire competent individuals? And what do you do? What criteria do you use to bring on like employees, managers, and other staff members?
Okay, all righty. When did I realize I was truly in business and no longer a startup? Probably when I had to cover that first payroll, to be perfectly honest here. Up until that point, when you think about payroll, you're like, okay, if it doesn't work, then I just go hungry and that's okay. But when you've got employees, then you start to think about, okay, got to make sure I've got them taken care of. You definitely have a responsibility to them, without a doubt. So that was really the first moment I started to realize, like, wait a minute, you're truly in business now, With finding help and finding employees, initially, my approach was kind of just looking for qualifications, looking for people with the right kind of background in restoration or in construction to do what I do. But as time gone on, I started to realize that I'm looking now for people who make the right kind of fit within the organization, who have the right kind of personality, the right approach to customer service, the right approach to wanting to help people. So shifted gears just a little bit with that, looking for people who have the right mindsets, who can fit in, will connect with who's already here, and just make the right kind of contribution from that perspective. So that's how we look for employees these days, yes.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to chime in?
I was going to jump in a little bit there. So for the first part of the question, which is when did I realize we were in business, I would say that was when we realized we had to write our first employee handbook and start installing, policies and procedures, which was something that we were for a couple of years trying to avoid at great lengths. We do try to talk about the brewery not being an actual business or being a company, but being a brewery, because in some way, shape, or form that feels differently. But in the end, when you get to 55 employees, these things are very important. For us, when I kind of talk about a history, we're 10 years old now, but it's really kind of been the last 6 to 7 where we've seen explosive and exponential growth, that we moved from just being a really fun group of people making beer and, you know, drinking as much as we sold, to all of a sudden having to manage a business. And we've gone through 2 evolutions of hiring people during that phase, both of which start with the same thing. Probably, and I don't want to be presumptive when I say this, but there's probably about 80% of the people on the call today that are saying, "But it would be really cool to work at a brewery. I think I'd like to try that." But then they start looking under the cover and peel back a couple layers of the onion and say, "Well, wait a minute, that's not the fun, necessary job all day long where you just get to hang out and drink beer that I thought it was." But it's a lot of hard work. I mean, we are a very manual manufacturing process. Everybody here really has to bust their tail on a daily basis. But we had tons of candidates. The second stage that happened to us, sorry, let me stick with that for a second. If we put out a posting for a job, we had 15 candidates show up within 24 hours. And that could be just through word of mouth. It could also be through industry postings that we would have. About 3 to 4 years ago, we found that we would post a job and it would take 2 to 3 weeks to get any type of candidate pool built up. And it was very, very difficult to hire. Part of that is because when we first started, we were the 35th brewery in Massachusetts and the 1100th in the country. Today, only 10 years later, there's over 200 breweries in Massachusetts and there's over 8,000 in the United States. So the pool of people, especially qualified people with experiences, really, really, really dried up. And we had to switch to more of what I call an apprenticeship. Find somebody who you wanted to work with, who had the right personality characteristics, had work ethic, but really had to have passion for beer. Because nobody who doesn't have passion for beer will survive in the work environment we have here. And we had to turn it into that apprenticeship program. Start maybe in our tap room, or maybe start with an entry level packaging job part-time, but making sure that that person's a fit, and then working them into newer and more interesting and more challenging roles. I would be surprised if maybe less than 80% of our people have had at least one promotion within our brewery over their working time here. And that's been really cool. As we moved into those more formal stages, we started using something called predictive index, which is a personality. Some people are probably familiar with that, but it's really kind of like a personality background, and it tells you what type of person you are, but it also tells the people you work with what type of person you are, and it helps us create communication, helps us identify great opportunities for those individuals. Are they a square peg for a round hole type of thing? But at the end of the day, really what comes down for us is we're a social business. I always say that beer was the original social network. Facebook may have claimed it, but it really was beer. If we want to hang out with someone here, if we want to hang out with somebody and have a beer with them at a bar, more than likely they're a really good fit for our organization.
Thank you. Thank you, David. That was a great answer. Also, I just wanted to say as a side note, if anyone has questions, please feel free to put them in the chat if you have any questions. Okay, we'll go on to the next question. So entrepreneurship is a journey, as we all know, and it can come with many unexpected obstacles, challenges, and decisions that as an entrepreneur and an owner of a business you need to make. Can you talk about either an obstacle or challenge or a situation that you didn't anticipate that came up, and how did you solve it? Like, for instance, the whole COVID situation. And can you share how your business is adapting and trying to survive during this pandemic?
I can take this one first. So yeah, there's definitely always a lot of ups and downs in the entrepreneurship world, and COVID-19 really gave us an interesting obstacle to push through. We're very we're still an early stage startup because condoms are medical devices, and medical devices and products, the timeline to get that to fruition takes forever. So I've been working on this since 2013, and we established this company in 2015. And the main goal for us is to get our customer feedback, to get some users to use that and give us feedback to learn whether this is a viable product for our solution. And so in the past years, we've been working towards getting a manufacturing partner in Southeast Asia, getting grants through, perfecting the prototyping, and really trying to understand the manufacturing process for our coding technology, getting it to a point where we can actually get it safe and do some animal studies with that before going to human trials. So we checked up all the tick marks and got us to about March of 2020 this year. And we've been pushing through for the past couple of years to get to this human trial. And then COVID hit. And this was the big make it or break it study for us. So we were all like, oh, the investors are all up in the line. A lot of the big companies and large strategics in the space, and I'm sure you guys are all familiar with them, are waiting to see how this turns out. And then COVID hit. So we're working with a group in California to help us carry out this human trial study. And they're one of the first ones that shut down as well too. So that was really challenging for us as well. But I really value having excellent, hardworking, and motivated people on our team. My board, my advisors, my team members, and our partners in LA too was really excited about this. And we were doing everything we can to pivot and to get this started too. So we did encounter a couple of delays, but we are starting to recruit for our human trials and hopefully get some sort of feedback from them within the next couple of weeks.
Excellent, thank you. Would any of the other panelists like to chime in?
Never bashful over here. So for us, and to kind of give a little background, Wormtown Brewery was very restaurant focused, which is fairly typical in the craft beer world, but we were even a little bit more overweight than most. We had about 70% of our total business that went through restaurants and bars. So you can imagine that on March 15th, when Governor Baker made his announcements to shut down restaurants and bars, we immediately lost 70% of our total business. We also had 2 tap rooms, which are probably somewhere around 10 to 15% of our total profit margin. So you take those 3 things away from our business model, and we weren't left with a whole lot. Small Business Association, thank you. We're here today because of you guys. But ultimately, it was really, really, really stressful time for us. We did have to furlough, but we had a couple options in front of us. So we really kind of 2 business platforms, what we brew and sell outside of our brewery, and then our 2 tap rooms. We operate one here in Worcester and one in Foxborough Patriot Place. So we had 2 things that we had to try and salvage within our business portfolio. Our immediate need on the larger scale format, which was our what I call our production brewing, it was to pivot our business, figure out how to compete in package stores. Now, early on, we thought package stores were going to get closed fairly quickly, and we didn't see them as the growth engine that they became. And so we were actually trying to figure out how to pare down our business. It takes us about a month to make beer. So the beer that we're shipping out today, we made a month ago. So if you think about the timing of the announcement, losing 70% of our business, we had a month's worth of beer already in our tanks in some type of process. So that was really worrisome. So we had all kinds of internal issues and decisions we had to make within our production facility, but then it was about how do we find a home for that beer. Realized within about a month that off-premise consumption was going to stay. The state and most of the country recognized that as essential business. Even chiefs of police came to the side of alcohol and said, if you don't allow people to have alcohol at home, we're going to be in a whole world of hurt. So we recognized huge opportunity in the off-premise, and we pivoted. We've been a historically slow-moving brewery. We like to keep things simple. We like to keep things concise, but we were thrust into an era of innovation and reaction and speed that we hadn't operated under before. So we had to quicken the pace of our decisions. We introduced 12 packs. We introduced new brands. We activated a pilot brewing system so that we could be far quicker and far faster with innovation for retail and the stuff we send out. At our tap rooms, which was based on people wanting to come visit us and experience our brewery and have a pint. Again, I mentioned, beer being social. It's hard to be a social product when you're being socially distanced. So we had to react to that. And because we could sell beer to go, much like restaurants could sell food to go, we said, my God, how are we going to capture that? What do we need to do? So we instituted drive-through lines. We had to change our websites and create technology that allowed people to order to go. But what I thought was really fun was handing the creativity license to our team. And within a week, we became a convenience grocery store, if you will. If you were a customer who was coming and you wanted to buy a case of beer or a 4-pack of beer for your home, you could stop and you could buy frozen meats that we got through one of our vendors. You could buy vegetable boxes. We were selling our pretzels for people to go at home for consumption. And within a very short period of time, we found that our own taproom business had grown to about 60 or 70% of what our business was when we were just selling pints, with people just doing drive-thrus on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. And it was really fun. As we sit here today, as the states opened up a little bit, we came out of March 15th. We went through April and May at about 20 to 25% of total business. And today we've gotten that up to about 85%, making a bunch of creative changes.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So we have about 5 minutes left, and I am going to kind of run through a few questions. If you can kind of give us some answers based on your experience. But one of the questions that we have is each of one of your businesses has core values that drive your decision making. And so can you kind of briefly give us what those core values are, and how did you come about establishing those core values, and how do you see them play out in your daily operation?
I can go on this one. Basically, one of my big core values is quality and good customer service. Just being in the service industry for 20 plus years, I have just always noticed that you can eat a bad meal, but if the customer service was great, then it's almost like it's forgiven. And not that we have any bad meals at all. However, if something was to happen, something out of our control or anything like that, then at least, we want people to have a good experience. And so one of the things with the restaurant for me was, even with the whole, having a shift to just takeout only, was making sure that anybody that came in had a good experience. Usually when somebody's coming in or leaving, we're saying hi, like, you're getting like the welcome to Mo's from everybody and stuff. And everybody's like super happy. And it reflects in our comments that we get on Facebook and stuff. And it's, the staff is so friendly. And so that's definitely been one of my biggest things to have for the restaurant, one of my core values. And then the other one would be quality. Sometimes people get upset because we will run out of something, but I'd rather run out of something than to put, a quality out there that's not up to par. A big thing was making sure that our quality was top notch when it came to Caribbean food or Puerto Rican food, essentially, because that's what we make. And it was kind of just being different than anybody else. And we wanted to make sure that the quality was up there. And so we have a more limited menu. And even though some people are like, you need this on the menu or you need this, they didn't understand that I wanted a smaller menu because I felt like I can control it better. We'd be able to put a better quality. So definitely good quality and great customer service or core values and are super important for us at Restaurant.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much. And just to kind of wrap up, I'm going to ask each one of the panelists to, a quick 30-second answer to this question. With, everyone here today and listening to your great stories, and thank you for sharing, what piece of wisdom or advice could you give to your audience today on like a lesson that you've learned or some type of wisdom that you've learned from being an entrepreneur that you could pass on to the next generation of entrepreneurs? Would you like to start? first, Natalie?
Yeah, I can go first. I feel like the Oscars, right? The 30 seconds, the song's about to come on. So basically, anybody, new, just literally, I wrote down a couple things, be proactive, set your goals, write them out, execute it. Don't be afraid to try new ventures. I literally opened up a credit repair business in between this with COVID. I was scared. I didn't know what was happening. And then that business took off as well. So go check us out, Nuestra Financial, Nuestra. Tap into everybody. The chamber has been super beneficial. They write out, emails. Sometimes they email me directly, like, hey, this would be beneficial. Vasque and Peter Dunn at the city, they're amazing. They literally will send me emails the same way. Labos, the Latin Association, Latin American Business Association, they've been helpful. And, basically tap into your family. My mom's been a big supporter. And so just don't be afraid to just kind of get out there, present it. If it's something that you want, literally just go out and get it. There's a way. There's enough room for everybody, and just get out there and go get it. That would be my best advice: is to write it down and execute, and get a planner.
Okay. Thank you. Stacy.
Yeah, so I always ask that question myself as well too. What do I want to tell my younger self? And I think society over glorifies startups and entrepreneurships and starting your own businesses too, and don't showcase some of the challenges, the hardships, the obstacles that we all have to face on a daily basis. So I would recommend, and always remember why are you in this journey? Why did you start this journey? And that always helps me, at least, to get the motivation to continue, especially in pursue when things get hard. And also to be grateful. Be grateful that you are part of something that you feel passionate with and that you love what you do. If you don't love the chase or the journey of being an entrepreneur and the excitement of what challenges you come on a day-to-day basis, it's gonna be really tough. So surround yourself with really good people. Be grateful for people around you, and be grateful for the opportunity that you have.
Thank you. Nigel? I'm not sure if we lost him or not, but let's go ahead with David.
Sure. So I would say be true to yourself in whatever you do. Don't overthink things. More often than not, your first reaction, your first thought is probably the correct one, and you'll create paralysis by analysis if you think too much about it. And last but not least, if you can figure out a way to do it, have a beer every day at 9 o'clock, and don't worry, be happy.
All right, thank you. And if Nigel's there, okay, I think we may have lost him. I just want to thank all of the panelists very much for your contributions and your words of wisdom. We truly appreciate all that you had to say, and we value that. If you have any additional questions for the panelists, you can definitely contact them in the networking breakout session immediately following this panel. So thank you so much, and have a wonderful and blessed day.
Cheers, everyone.
Okay, folks. So we're now going to break everyone up into breakout rooms for networking with each other and Worcester area business resources. We're all going to come back together, in 10 minutes for the next panel of resources. As you all know, Worcester is rich with resources, as the panelists told us. There's a reason why they chose Worcester, and I think the ecosystem of resources here in Worcester is what makes, this great, city a perfect location to start a business, to grow a business, and to succeed in business. So I welcome you all to network, a very important component of entrepreneurship, and network with resources that can help you with technical assistance, whether you're new to entrepreneurship or whether you're in business already. So 10 minutes of networking, and we'll get back into the panel.
Good morning.
Good
Morning.
morning.
Morning, everyone. I don't know if these breakout rooms are going to come in, but we might as well just get a chance to know each other. I've run a lot of these myself and other platforms. Usually they'll split us off, and it has to come from the host or admin. They might just be doing that manually right now because there's like 57 of us. So, but I'll try to pretend to play moderator here.
57.
There you
Down to 52.
Now
but-
50.
How is it going down? Same
Oh,
as
here we
before.
go. We're going into the breakout rooms now.
All right. All right. Thanks, Com.
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
Karen, I think you're putting me in the wrong room.
How do we get in breakup rooms?
Oh, they're moving us.
Okay.
Yeah, if you look at the number of participants, it's reducing.
Oh, okay. I see that.
I wonder where we're going to end up.
Well, the moderators have been assigned, but I don't know about everyone else.
You'll know once you disappear.
Or will you disappear? Or will you appear somewhere else?
That's true.
Jennifer, I can't find you to assign you anywhere. So bizarre.
So I got an invite into room 6, the Webster 5 and SPD one. So that's the problem.
Yeah. Put in a waiting room now. I don't know why. I think because you maybe bounced back out. There's nowhere for you to choose.
I can join it, but I thought you wanted me in the room 1, so I can join the Webster 5.
Oh, okay. So we had it set up so you could choose any room, but that obviously did not work, and I had to manually assign everyone.
Yes.
Karen, I'm having a similar issue that I should be in room 9. If I click join, it just sends me to the different room.
So I apologize. I really can't I can't even find your name. Like, I think once you went to a room, it's not, I don't see any place where people are not in a room.
So do you want us to just join those rooms and just go with it?
Yes, if you join a room, I think I can move you. So what room were you in, Jennifer?
Yeah, once I join it, I'm going to go to Webster 5 and SBDC. So that's going to be.
Okay, I'll look for you and I'll try to move you.
All right, let's see what happens.
Okay.
And Karen, I'll do the same thing. I believe I'm going to end up in the TD Bank room.
Okay.
Welcome back to everybody. I hope you had a good time in the breakout rooms. Remember to go ahead and put your LinkedIn link or something about yourself in the chat. We're seeing some great interaction and conversations there. People are looking to hire and sharing some information about themselves. We do have a few polls we can pop up here. Would this be a good moment, Karen, to do a poll?
Sure.
All right. So we had the conversation about predictive index and a little bit more about, you know, who you are. This is just kind of a very low-key one, introvert, extrovert. And if you don't know what an ambivert is, it's when you kind of can go back and forth. And so I actually test as an ambivert. I can be extroverted when I need to. My natural style is actually as an introvert. I like my quiet time, not too much quiet time, and I'm learning that during COVID. Sometimes it's a little bit too much quiet time. But it's kind of just fun to see just a general idea of where people are. I think we've got a lot of ambiverts here. I'm gonna guess the beer folks are the extroverts, but that's just a long shot. All righty, go ahead and put in your vote. We've got 80% of the people who are voting. It's been fun to watch the commercials on football where they have the football players saying that I only want to win 60% of the time because that's all that votes. So they're trying to get more people to come out and vote. So we'll wind this up in just another minute. We'll go back to the next panel. We've got a great group of people who can continue to help you out as you navigate your entrepreneurial journey. Okay, we will end this here and we'll share the results here. So we had 19% of the people were introverts, 36 were extroverts, and 45 said they were ambiverts. So we'll go ahead and continue with the next part of the program. Karen, do you want to take any introductions or should we start right away with Michelle?
Diane, let me quickly, introduce Michelle. Michelle Miller is a great partner of the SBA. She works for the Center for Women in Enterprise, and which is one of our resource partners, along with SCORE and the Small Business Development Center. But networking, as you guys saw on the breakout sessions, and we will have another one of these breakout sessions after this panel, is a key component of every small business owner's journey. So more so nowadays with with the social distancing and some of the requirements and regulations imposed to all of us by COVID and this pandemic. But Worcester is rich with resources. We heard it from the success story panelists. As Dave mentioned, as Stacy mentioned, Worcester is one of those communities that has a lot to offer to a small business, either looking to start or grow their business. And I believe the ecosystem we have in place with WBRA, the Worcester Business Resource Alliance, is just a phenomenal model that does not exist anywhere else in the state. And not to say that the state of Massachusetts doesn't have sufficient resources, but here in Worcester, we do have an ecosystem like no other. So without further ado, my great friend Michelle Miller, take it away.
Thanks, Eli. And thanks so much to the Chamber for hosting this. Thanks so much, SBA, for everything you do. Really excited to be here with you this morning. It's my pleasure to be here on a panel with Com, Karen, and Jennifer. I think you'll find, especially if you're chatting with folks who are established entrepreneurs for a while, that they've got a team of folks that they rely on. And that team often involves their banker, their insurance agent, their attorney, their accountant, their business advisor, someone who does marketing. And so what's really exciting about this panel is that we've got someone who represents just about all of those pieces. So I'll dive right in. And if we could start with the panel, if you could describe your current position and what you do to help small businesses and entrepreneurs. Karen, do you mind kicking us off?
Sure. Happy to be here. So my name is Karen Spinelli from Spinelli CPA PC. I'm the president and owner of a tax and accounting firm here in Worcester. We are a 100% woman-owned firm. I'm very excited with that. And I work with a lot of small businesses and entrepreneurs in my business, assisting and advising them in their business needs. We assist with bookkeeping, QuickBooks training, filing of taxes for the businesses. I meet with a lot of small business owners and discuss their business needs with them. You know, what are they doing? How are they going about doing it, and providing guidance to them to be able to better give them assistance to better run their business, and to be able to advise on the best way to keep track of business income and expenses, to prepare them for filing their tax returns, as well as mitigating the chances of being audited down the road. We talk about what other tax responsibilities they might have depending on the industry in the business that they have. And I consult with the business owners about what type of business entity they should be depending on the industry and the type of business, expected profits and losses, timing of the start of the business, and liability issues. And in any business, it's really important to partner with a CPA who can provide you the right guidance in your business to help you succeed and achieve your goals. It really becomes a team effort.
Thank you so much, Karen. And Karen, I'm going to move on to Jennifer next, but if you don't mind dropping your website and social links in the chat, that'd be great. I'm going to put that in there too for Jennifer and Com if you want to stick yours in there. Jennifer, do you mind answering the same question?
Sure. Jennifer Mckay. I am an SBA lender with TD Bank. I've actually been in the banking industry for over 20 years. And about 10 years ago, I switched over from conventional lending to exclusively do SBA lending. And the reason for that is so that I could actually help the business startups, the acquisitions, the expansions. Anything that was difficult to get approved on the conventional lending side that really needs an enhancement falls under the SBA division. So with what I do, I have the pleasure of working with my conventional lenders in Worcester and in Springfield. I tend to come in for a very brief time period to help with the transaction. And then I get you set up or get the borrower set up with a relationship manager. I'll come back in whenever anything is needed or if any questions need to be answered. But you know, that's how we operate. So we are a relationship bank, but we have a specialty SBA program. My group, there's only 2 of us, for example, covering the state of Massachusetts. And we actually, you know, can do loans right here from Florida to Maine. So any of your needs on the East Coast, we can take care of for you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Same invite to drop your stuff in the chat. And Com, do you mind taking us away?
Yes, I was just finishing chatting the information.
Oh, sorry.
No worries. Good morning, everyone. My name is Com, like .com, easy to remember. I'm the founder and CEO of Inthic Agency. We are a hybrid marketing and business consultancy agency, and we help businesses at the end of the day like grow. And a lot of people say that, so what does that really mean? So we're looking at 6 key pillars for our businesses, which is technology stack, operations, customer success, marketing, all the strategies when it comes to sales, branding, lead funnels, customers, and then we create the creative part after we understand those pillars, which is websites, videos, content, guides. You know, and the best part about what makes us unique as an agency is that we actually guarantee the results. You know, that's a certainty that we want to help and alleviate those types of pressures for business owners. Is like, how do I know that I'm getting the right amount of leads? How do I manage my remote team? Am I utilizing my technology the right way? So holistically, we're looking at a business operation and then going out there, building their brand and ultimately bringing in revenue for them so they continue to grow. And it's all driven by metrics.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Com. I'm going to move on to the next question, which is, in business and in life, we know that people buy the person before the product, as it were. Would you share with us something unique about you that we wouldn't know just by looking at your business card or LinkedIn profile? And Com, I'm going to come to you first on this one, if I may.
My wife always tells me she doesn't like me posting stuff about my kids because sometimes they don't know that you approve to put, so I don't put my kids on there a lot, but I have 3 little kids and I have a 4th one on the way, due in January, so I have 4 kids. We just love the challenge here in this household, and we do virtual learning. But the other thing, actually, I've been a monk 3 times. I'm Buddhist. I've been a Buddhist monk 3 times, and even my own team members are surprised by that. So that's something new that you want.
Very cool. Thanks, Karen, do you mind going next?
Sure. What I feel that makes me unique from other CPAs out there is my customer service and my clients. Am I working to educate my clients so they understand what we are doing and why? Educating my clients so that they can make the most informed decisions is very important to me. Most times I receive questions that I could just answer as a yes or no, but I go further. I tend to explain why the answer is the yes or the no that I give them. And so my clients value this feedback and how much I care about them, because I'm there to help them succeed in their business. I'm not just about trying to bill someone to get a lot of money, which I see that in some other firms sometimes. So when someone approaches me about a specific type of service that they need, I ask clarifying questions to find out what they really need, the types of services that are there, and help to maybe find something different that could provide them a lower cost, but still getting the best same service. I don't really expect my clients to remember anything I say, but I believe that they value my services because of the extra time that I take to explain things to them.
I love that. Something that we tell our clients a whole lot too is if you're working with someone that you don't understand what's going on and you don't feel comfortable asking them to explain it to you in language that you understand, you may want to find somebody else. So that's a really great example of what we can do. So thank you. Jennifer, do you mind taking us away?
Sure. And actually, I love what you just said, Michelle, because I often, especially when it comes to technology, I talk to my children and tell them to explain it to me like I was 5. That helps me understand a little bit better these platforms that we're using today. I will say that something unique about me is that I have spent a majority of my career now working remotely. But with that said, I do loans across the country, or previously at my last job would do them in Colorado from my home in Massachusetts. And, what I learned is that it doesn't matter whether it is electronic, whether it's email communication or phone, as long as you establish a communication that you keep everybody informed. Do what you say you're going to do. And another important thing that I've learned in my role over my many years is that a quick no is as important as a longer yes. In this day and age, we want answers right away, but I also think that it's important, if I'm looking at something, if it's not going to be a match for me or for my bank for one reason or another, I'm going to try to connect you to the people that can help you and make that decision very quickly if I see that it's not something that would fit our industry appetite. Oh, and I have 4 children already, so you're in for it. And I heard on the news today that they're now saying you need 3 parents per child. So I have 4 kids and 1 grandchild, so I'm missing 7 adults in my house.
I guess my in-laws are moving in.
The real estate market's going to spike after this with all the bigger houses being bought. I love it. Okay, next one, picking up off that last one. People tend to do business with people that they know, like, and trust, and appropriately so, right? There are buckets of experts out there, and you really need to make sure that you find someone who's going to do right by you, who's going to use your money well, who's going to respect you and your business. So my question is, in your experience, how important is it to nurture ongoing relationships and communication, even if that means that it's going to extend the sales cycle and cost you some more time? Jennifer, if you don't mind starting us.
Sure. The simple answer for me is it's crucial. One of the big things that I believe in is to surround yourself with your team of trusted advisors. And it is crucial to utilize those individuals. Now, I've heard individuals in the past, where they've tried to use a family member or a college roommate for their attorney. They're trying to close a business transaction and their friend from college is a criminal attorney. The two don't work. And so even though some things might seem initially more expensive, it does make sense to really establish your trusted advisors, utilize them, and stay in contact frequently. If you don't communicate where your business is, where you're going, what changes you may be facing, oftentimes that group of trusted advisors can't help you if it's too late. You know, talk to us early, your banker, your accountant, your attorney, your insurance advisor. Talk early so that way you can plan accordingly.
Absolutely. Thank you. Com, what do you think on that?
I feel like it's common knowledge that everything's about relationships now. You hear that often, right? But it's one thing to hear it, it's one thing to actually do it. And as much as we tout ourselves to be, really good if it's in sales or relationship management, you have to really be intentional and be present. So even with it's just because it's not just on the business side, it's also on the personal side. So if you're trying to be present for your kids, whatever, it's a characteristic. So you have to want to do it, because the sales will happen and convert because they can tell that you want to do it, because you're asking them questions about their passion or their pets. And you actually brought up the name of their pet because you talked to them a month ago. So best tip is like to really make sure that you're intentionally are present and you care about them, because it's got to stand out amongst all the other folks that they're talking to where you're in this sales nurturing process, because people want to buy people that they like.
Yeah, absolutely. Which reminds me of a similar pro tip on that. You can use customer resource management and CRM systems to be keeping track of some of those cool little key details. If you're like me and you really care, but your brain just doesn't always retain it, you can kind of keep little notes of things like that you can review before you meet your clients, which can be really helpful. Okay, that brings us to Karen.
So I really believe it's very important to nurture the ongoing relationships and communications that we have with people, because you just never know when that person that you meet, could be years down the road, that all of a sudden something comes up that maybe you get to work with them or they refer somebody to you. And, if you didn't nurture that relationship over the years and try and keep that on the good side of things, down the road, it could really hurt you. I've seen some businesses where they think, oh, just because somebody's a small client, you don't give them the best service. I'm all about giving the best service to all of my clients, because I have no idea who knows who. And so that small client that I give a service to may later on be talking to a family member or somebody else they know that has a really large business, that because of that great service I give them, even as a small individual, they're going to be like, she's the person you want to go to see, right? So, to me, that nurturing of that relationship and keeping communication open with people really helps us down the road. I mean, I interview with clients, potential clients all the time, and it's all about how you come across to them. And not all of them become clients, but sometimes those people I actually interviewed with, even though they might not come with me for whatever reason, they might have a friend that they say, hey, you know what? I spoke with this person. You need to go see her because she can give you the information or the ability to help you with what you need. So, just having those great relationships, keeping them open, keeping them honest, those are the best things to do.
Absolutely. And we've had some cool conversations so far this morning about kids and the number of parents required per kid, right? And all that. And I think about businesses, especially businesses that local folks run. That's like a kid too, right? That's their kid that they have raised from infancy. And so being able to count on trusted advisors and knowing what that means, what key indicators are of a trusted advisor that they can work with, exactly what folks on this panel have been describing, is really meaningful. And especially in this remote environment where it's a little tougher to just sit down and grab a coffee with someone to get their vibe, it's even more important. All right. So folks in the audience, if you have questions, we're going to get to audience questions soon. So please start sticking them in the chat if you've got them. In the meantime, folks on this panel, as you reflect on your own journey, I'd love to hear what advice you have for folks on the line, especially those who are looking to take their business to the next level. What do you think they need to know that we haven't touched on yet? And I'm going to go back to Com to kick us up on this one.
That's a common thread, I think, for everyone who's, especially now, reevaluating Q4. If you're a leader, if you own a business, what am I doing to like try to finish strong, but then propel myself and set myself up for success for 2021 and crush it. And people are like, oh, can I really crush it? Well, I know it's a mindset thing. You got to have the mindset to get in there, and you as a leader, it resonates, and it's also like your calmness too as a leader also is addictive to your team members around you. So one thing I always make sure I tell all of our clients and even folks that we help advise is get your business strategy, redo it. Really look at it and do it. And like, what is your business strategy right now as a priority? And then once you understand your business strategy, and it could just be transitional. It doesn't need to be pivot. You hear the word pivot all the time, but are you providing value to your customers right now? Like, connect with your clients. Are you providing value in your marketplace? It might not be the product and service you're doing now, but you still have the core things that you already have in place. Where can you transition or do a little bit different that's already in place infrastructure wise? And then now create your sales, marketing, branding, customer service strategies to align with your business strategy. So doing that first, because people just get right into like, I got to start getting my website updated. I got to start buying these Google ads. I got to start just doing social posts, and I got to get leads. It's like, well, first make sure you have value to your customer. Don't think about yourself. Think about that. When you bring value, everything else comes in.
100%. Thank you. Karen, what do you think?
So, 3 years ago, I actually was a partner of another firm, and, thought I'd always be there. I was, going to be the sole owner at some point in time when my partner decided to retire, but my partner and I weren't seeing the same vision anymore. So I had to really make a hard decision on what I really wanted to do. Did I really want to stay there? Did I really want to start a whole new firm on my own? And then, of course, all of the questions start. Will I be able to succeed? Will clients follow me? Will I be able to get new clients? Will I find staff? And so I think that, the biggest advice I could give somebody is certainly follow your dreams. Do what you love to do, because that is so important. But don't just do it willy-nilly. Make sure that you actually research what it is that you are doing, what you need to do. Get a group of advisors, talk to your banker, talk to your accountant, talk to other consultants out there on how to actually start that business. Because I know when I decided to make the decision to start my own business, the big thing that I had for me was, I was like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to make sure I succeed. I don't want to start this and then fail and have spent tons of money on it. Nobody wants to see that happen. We all want to make sure that we succeed. And so I made sure I surrounded me with the right group of advisors who could assist me and help me out to make sure that I could succeed. And yes, I had to step outside of myself to be able to do that. I am internally an introvert. And so to get out there and network was a hard thing for me. But I have to tell you, my firm has doubled in at least, if not more, in the last 2.5 years. And I'm so proud of it. And I love what I'm doing. I love helping people and assisting them. And that is really the best thing that people can do, is just help others out and succeed.
That is fantastic. And congrats on the growth of your firm. I remember your grand opening. That's such a huge congrats. That's really exciting.
Thanks.
All right, Jennifer, what are your thoughts?
Tom and Karen really summarized the trusted advisors and that keeping that circle close. And, that was, one of the things that I was going to say here. And since we really, have, established that everybody agrees we need to utilize that, I think the other important thing that we need to remember, which has made me successful, is my family. So I find myself that I'm in a unique circumstance where when I decided years ago, now TD's East Coast Bank, but when I started working for a national lender years ago, the decision that was made in my family was for my husband to be a stay-at-home dad. This allowed me to be able to travel, focus on my job, and for our children to really still have a hands-on parent. And to this day, he is still a stay-at-home dad, and it works out great for our family. And honestly, if I didn't have that support, I don't know how I would do it. So that was a family decision that we made as far as how we wanted our life to be. And the other personal thing that I can say is that one of the things that has made me very, very successful, and this goes back to the individual who really helped me in my career years ago, who is, long deceased now, was remember the 24-hour rule. And oftentimes we want to react. All I can advise is if there is a big decision or even an emotional decision, to try to at least sit on it for 24 hours, because the way that you handle that and your choices are going to change so much time in that 24-hour time period. I find that after that time period lapses, you really have a clear decision with no regrets.
Thanks so much, Jennifer. Excellent points, all of them. So we have our amazing panelists for a precious few moments left. So if folks have questions, please do drop them in the chat. I don't think I see any yet. So I've got one more on my end before we head to breakouts, but keep those questions coming in the chat if you've got them. And this one is one that came up in our conversation. The four of us had a chat before we met with all of you today, and we're talking about relationship management and remote teams, right? So I would love to hear tips that you have for folks in this audience about balancing remote teams, making sure they're performing but not micromanaging, and the whole nine. Let's go back to Karen to kick us off here, if you don't.
Okay, so I have a team, there's a team of 9 of us. A couple of them are definitely in the office, but so talking about being remote, I actually broke my ankle 2 weeks ago and had surgery. So I am totally remote now. I can't go into the office. So I'm having to constantly, contact my other team members and, contacting them through email, through Zoom meetings. We're doing like weekly Zoom meetings to keep in touch with each other to make sure that the work is going the way it needs to go. It's something you have to work at, because luckily I feel very strongly that my team, they know what to do. I don't have to stand over them by any means, even if we're all in the office or whether they're remotely. I more touch base to say, what are you working on? What do I need to assist you with to make sure that you can succeed in what you're doing? What resources do you need? So I'm very lucky and grateful in that, but it is something you need to constantly be monitoring just to make sure that, that they can succeed. It's just helping them out in any way you can.
Thanks so much, Karen. I agree. Jennifer, what are your thoughts on that?
Sorry, got stuck on mute there for a second. With the way TD Bank operates in our SBA division, their business development officers, we really operate almost as entrepreneurs. We are not micromanaged. We cover very large territories, and as such, we're given a lot of flexibility. We are not currently permitted to go into any offices. And if we want to see a client, we do have an app. We do have a lot of steps that we have to take for that approval. So for the most part, we are operating remotely right now. And I think the flexibility is something that I appreciate with the remote operations, and, everyone's life circumstances are different. For me at this point in time, I get online at 5 o'clock in the morning and I get a good head start on my day prior to my children being up. Once they're set on their classes at 9 and 12, the ones that are on those, and the baby's up to daycare, then I'm good to go with my day. But I've been allowed that flexibility. So for those of you that do manage people, I can say it I don't manage anybody, but I can say how much I appreciate my manager who does not micromanage me and allows me the flexibility to do my job, knowing that I'm going to do what it takes to get it done. And I hope that everybody's teams function like that.
That is certainly the gold standard. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jennifer. Con, what do you think?
I've probably done like 3 webinars about this, so it's like there's a lot to unpack here. But to manage remote team, my team's actually been remote for day one. That's how my guys, my support team is local, but also national. And our clients are also spread out too. So like, how do you manage a remote team? How do you make sure they're productive? How do you make sure that the culture is good? How do you make sure that they're happy? Do I have the right technology to make sure I'm leveraging and managing this stuff without overwhelming my team and myself? So like, those are probably things that you're also thinking about, right? So what you first, like one thing that works really well for us is using a communication channel like Slack. Some people have Teams. Slack is free. We've been using it for free. I think we have like 40 something people on there. And we also work with contractors and freelancers. So you can invite other people into this. So that's a great way to communicate and make it feel like you're in an office setting where you would pop by like a cubicle or like just say, like we had someone's birthday. So we have a general channel and then everyone's putting emojis and GIFs and stuff. But we also create channels. I think from a cultural standpoint, we have a different channel, one for mindset, one for music. So then people start like geeking out on different music that they play and then they make fun of each other. Like, no, it makes a lot of sense why you listen to that music because that's how you are, right? So you're having fun. So you're building culture. Then we have another channel called babies, and babies could be kids. Babies could be your kittens. Babies could be we have a gardener who loves her plants. So we are creating culture based on subjects and then we're giving advice. So that's a way to kind of build culture remotely. But we do have to, as an owners, I got to also make sure I'm empathetic because I know that people have distractions at home if it's kids or sick people, parents, what have you. We use a tool like Toggle, Toggl. We just transitioned to Harvest. Basically, it's a tool that tracks like what you're working on every day. And it's not so much about time management, but it's really about like what obstacles can we remove for you and track, because you have to look at people's time and compound it and compress it, but you also have to look at your costs, right? So I think that's going to give you a really good pulse of what your team's focusing on, what they're working on, so you can be more effective and efficient. If they're working too long on something, you can remove that obstacle, maybe just check in with them. And another tool that we use really often is a project management tool. If you don't have one, highly recommend it. There's a lot of free ones out there. We use Asana. So we're looking at all these projects. If you're managing, you have leadership campaigns, you have marketing campaigns, you have sales campaigns, you have, operational campaigns. It's a way to kind of keep everyone accountable, but also interact. And then virtual selling and virtual customer service using tools like Zoom like this, but taking it to another level, Loom, Loom. Please guys, check out Loom, Loom. I've talked to a lot of my friends. I have to like beat it over their heads after 15 times. And they said, holy moly, after I use this thing, I've seen increase in my sales engagement by 400%. What you're providing is you're humanizing the experience, because maybe you're explaining something in a video versus in a long email. And it's very easy to use and it's free. So there's other programs out there too that do like screen recording and screen sharing. But the cool thing about it is analytics. So if you're in sales, you can see someone watches that video and then you can say, oh, they're engaging with me. They watch that video and then you can follow with an email. So it's really creating that customer experience, and your employee experience is key, leveraging the technologies like that.
I love that. Thank you. And Com, if you don't mind dropping some of those tools that you mentioned in the chat, that would be really awesome. You mentioned a couple webinars too. I don't know if any of them might be available to the audience, but if you could put those in there as well, that'd be great.
Sure.
Okay, so we got 5 minutes left, and what's going to happen at 11:50, just so you all know, we're heading back into breakout rooms for a little more networking, and then we're going to come back for closing remarks at noon. And there's just one more question during those 5 minutes that I think will be between Jennifer and between Karen and Com, because it looks like it might be more like an entrepreneur to entrepreneur question. But Gus would like to know, when it comes to business processes, how do you initially start, or how did you initially start? Karen, do you mind taking it away quick?
So, I mean, for me, it was probably easy because I was already an owner of a firm previously. And so I just utilized a lot of the same processes that we did in that firm for starting my new firm. But I do help a lot of new businesses with trying to give them guidance in this side of things. A lot of it really depends on how big or how small the business is going to be, and whether you've got employees or you don't, what type of industry you're in. There are so many factors to think about on that it's not really something to give as a really quick, easy answer that I can feel. But yeah.
Thank you, Karen. Com, what do you think?
Michelle, do you mind saying it one more time? It's like,
yeah,
I'm sorry.
Of course. Yeah, sorry. No, you're good.
Messaging.
The multitasking. Yeah, no, it's good. Gus has a question about when you're looking at business processes, how do you initially start? What did you?
Yeah, to Karen's point, right? Depending on your size, if you're bootstrapping, you have to start building out that processes. But none of your processes here, guys, is different. Everyone has very similar processes that matter across industries, right? You're finding your buckets. So your sales process, your onboarding process, your offboarding process, your fulfillment process. Like there's resources out there that you can lean on. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, but then you fine tune it to your proprietary way that it's your way. We're actually in the middle of doing this right now for our company. We're standardizing our processes too. And eventually that's your IP, right? That if you're at a sell or something, like that's what also people are interested in, is your process. So there's a lot of coaches out there. And what's really helped me was actually I found an agency coach who really helped us elevate our process. Something that was trying to take me 3 years to do, I was able to get done in 6 months because I found a resource that rocket shipped myself and my team to that. So but of course, if you don't have that investment that you can do that, and you got to do it a little bit at a time. It's such a lot to unpack there, because like it depends on your business. So it's tough. I wish I can give you a personalized, but please reach out to me directly. I'm happy to talk shop about processes and operations. But the best thing is like to kind of figure out what are your capabilities that you can do, and then your teams, and then figure out who's responsible for that process. Because it's one thing to have systems and processes, but the person's also important on the other end.
Thanks so much, Com. Jennifer, anything you'd like to add? We've got about 2 minutes.
Michelle, you know what, on this subject, I really don't, because I've never had to create my own process for running my own business.
No worries.
But I admire every entrepreneur, because I get to be the banker looking at everything, because I'm not daring enough to be the real entrepreneur. So I am jealous of all of you.
A lot of fun. Hey, anytime you ever want to start, I know a whole great team of resource partners funded by SBA that can help you. Just throwing it out there. Also, it's in the chat. So we are just about at time. Again, see the shameless self-promotions in the chat. You can download that chat box. And thanks all so much for being here. Thanks again to the Chamber and SBA for hosting this.
Thank you, Michelle. And thanks to all the panelists, for a great discussion. It is again time to be going into another breakout session for networking with each other and other Worcester area business resources. So we'll take 10 minutes of networking, and then we'll come back for the closing remarks by Chamber President Tim Murray.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back.
It's good to be back, Diane. This has been a great session. So
Been
I
amazing.
hope everyone is enjoying it as much as we all are.
Well, that's great. Eli, a few comments before we turn over to Tim for some closing remarks and the networking. Eli,
Diane, I'm sorry. I missed that part.
no, I was just going to invite you to have any closing remarks from you before we go over to Tim, I think is the final person, and then we'll do some networking. I think that's the agenda.
Absolutely. So just, again, I do want to thank everybody for joining us today. And I definitely appreciate, the help from the chamber. Karen has been spectacular as always. I cannot believe that we've had 5 of these events, and we don't do it twice a year. That's really what I'm going to say. It's been great working with the chamber, and what a great advocate for small businesses we have here in Central Mass. So with that said, team, the floor is yours. Thanks again for the support, and take it away.
We have Tim here.
Oh, am I,
There you are. Now we
right.
can hear you.
Thanks. Well, Eli, thank you. And again, I just want to reiterate to you, Bob, and the entire, SBA team. Thank you so much for, your partnership over the years, and particularly the work that you have done, just incredible over the last 6 months. I just again want to thank our team at the Chamber too, led by Karen, for the partnership with the SBA, and our supporters who make this event happen. Clearly, like so many of us, we've had to transition to Zoom and events like this and conversations and meetings, but I think today went well and people seem to be engaged and enjoy it. And we had some great panelists, and our supporters who make it happen. TD Bank, Digital Federal Credit Union, Bank Hometown, Country Bank, People's United Bank, S&G Business Consultants, and Certified Public Accountants, Webster 5, and the Worcester Regional Food Hub. And we want to thank our Worcester Business Resource Alliance partners as well. So with that, it's going to be a great Friday, long weekend. Everybody be safe and be well.
Terrific. Thank you so much. Karen, do you want to have any closing comments? And we can leave the forum open for anybody who wants to do some networking. I'm happy to create a few starter conversations. Or Karen.
Yeah, I don't have any comments. Thank you all for joining us today. And we're going to, as Diane said, we're going to keep the Zoom open for 15 minutes for anyone who wants to network further.
All right, so I would encourage you to do some texting or just chatting, and I'll put myself on mute, and I'm happy to answer any questions. I put the instructions on how to download the chat in the chat. So if you want to do that, if you have had private messages, just be careful about sharing that, is what I'll say, that I've seen that happen before. So over to you guys. Thank you so much, and have a fabulous weekend.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you. Very good.
Thank you, everyone. It's been a pleasure. Have a wonderful weekend and stay blessed.
Same to you.
Hi,
Same
you
to you.
too.
Maybe I'll unmute myself and see if we can get some conversation started here. So what is one of your favorite ways to network? What is one of the ways that you do outreach? Is it through phone calls? Is it through email, through LinkedIn? What are some of the things that you find have been useful? Anybody want to step up and share their insights?
I think for the most part nowadays it's through the social media. So LinkedIn, Facebook, and yeah, LinkedIn, Facebook are the big ones that we kind of network today.
Yep.
Well, I'm getting a severe amount of coaching from my 14-year-old on all of these different types of platforms of social media. As a lifelong extrovert, I guess I can call myself. I would much rather be out meeting, shaking hands, and doing the traditional schmoozing that I've come to know as what we do in the nonprofit field. But I mean, adjusting to the different mediums that you have to connect with people on has kind of been the new thing. And being in an organization like E4All, where everything we do is through the level of technology, it's been a welcome change, I guess I could say. But I think that's how we are going to mainly connect with people going forward.
Nice. For me, it's Zoom. Quite honestly, I do quite a few Zoom meetings a week. Social media is a nice indication to say, hi, we're here. But ultimately, with CBD being such this kind of unknown grayish area for people, it's a lot of Zoom meetings to educate people on the use of CBD and why it's so beneficial. So anytime I can do a presentation, I think we have something that we're actually planning very soon. It'll be blasted on our LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and so forth. It's a nice way for people to get the information.
I mean, one thing that's been, a positive, if you will, or you have these situations. I'm not a big believer in the phrase "things happen for a reason." I think things happen, and then you find how to deal with it. I mean, when you have some tragedies that have happened to people, I don't think those are necessarily, there's a reason for that, but you've got to figure out how to pick up the pieces. And so I think one thing that we found interesting is that, you now can connect in a much broader way because of this situation. And, I mentioned earlier, I'm doing a darling party next week. And I had thought about doing this a couple times in the past, but it was like, when were people going to take time off and fly and, make that kind of a commitment where, hey, you can turn on your computer for an hour and say hi to people who have the similar name. So I just encourage people to, maybe do some testing of things that you haven't done before. Try some things that maybe do feel a little bit more awkward. LinkedIn is the tool I know the best. And so I encourage people to spend some time on LinkedIn and, go through it and look at your contacts. I'm doing this as a winter project. Mind you, I have a lot of contacts because I've been at it for a while, but I have, I think, 9,000 people in my LinkedIn. So what I'm trying to do with this time is say, hey, when was the last time I talked to these people? Who are they? What is there a way for me to, do that? So I know the chambers are hosting virtual programming. So I would encourage you to, look at some of those things and make those efforts to go to them. Yeah. If somebody wants to come in.
So Diane, can everyone join that darling party, or the fact that they call me darling does not make me eligible?
No, so it's for two groups of people. You're a DBB, darling by birth, or you're a DBM, darling by marriage. And so I've got 10 people signed up, and there's actually another Diane Darling in Philadelphia who I had dinner with about 4 or 5 years ago. So she and her son Max are going to come. And then at some point, I'm jokingly going to open up another category, which is a DWB, which is Darling Wannabe. And so when I have the Darling Wannabe, Eli, you will be more than invited. Yes.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
It's, and again, these are, I do a group of ex-Midwesterners in Boston. And we've gotten together a couple of times. And I had tried to do it at a couple of restaurants and just made no effort. And I only have 3 or 4 people. So I did it about, 4 or 5 months ago when this thing first happened. And we had the dean of one of the law schools in Boston, and we had an engineer, so I would encourage you to maybe, we think about, we only need a network to grow our business, but I would encourage you, I don't have children, I'm not married. So, nor do I have a dog. So I'm 0 for 3, but I say, there's other ways to network and, maybe go to your alumni group, go to, the people who you grow up with, my summer camp in the middle of the Ozarks it was a spiritual camp. So they're doing hymn sings on Sunday night. The first time I joined the hymn sing, they had 700 people on Zoom. I'm like, my cat doesn't want to hear me sing, but I'll go ahead and listen to them sing, And I think early in the COVID situation, there was a hunger for that kind of community of people who you'd known from as childhood. And the middle of the Ozarks is not a real sexy place to have a camp. Trust me, it was a pretty hot, sweaty place, but it was a lot of good people. So I encourage people just to reach out. I'm doing a lot of, it's been a long time since we touched base, thought I would say hello. I'm trying to do that 3 or 4 days a week. One of the women in this morning group I attend, she does it for work, but she tries to do between 40 and 50 outreaches a day.
Yeah. That's really awesome. I mean, just look at it this way. There's 18 people in this chat. These are all 18 people that are, planning on networking with other people, and when the SBA meeting ended, so I gotta appreciate everybody for taking that initiative as well.
Yeah, that's a great point, Alex. And if you look at, we had roughly 100 people who are on here. We're the 18%, who stuck around for an extra 10 minutes.
Absolutely.
I mean, I went to high school in Thailand, and you were talking about being Buddhist. And, I was there. I'm not going to date myself, but I will date myself. It was a while back. And, and so I very much remember, the Buddhist traditions. And I, lived there for part of high school and, learned so much about being a in a country that was very different. Visually, I was in Thai, there's a word called farang, and it means foreigner. And so, there were so few whites at the time. I mean, you would see people say farang, that, white person, who was walking by. There was a friend of my sister's who had wildly red hair. And we jokingly had her be the person who would walk in front of traffic because she would stop traffic because there were so few people with red hair. People would want to stop, And so we've had different ways of reconnecting with our friends from, the International School of Bangkok, because those are communities that you think about. And how you visualize this. But the Buddhist tradition is something, I think, that is something very meaningful in our world.
Love it. That's awesome.
So anybody want to ask for help here? One thing I will say, I've written a couple books about networking, and one thing I say all the time is we think people can read our mind. And in one of my workshops, when I was doing these things in person pre-COVID, I would say, who here needs help? Who here needs help? And one time I was doing things, I think it was the Newton Chamber or something like that. And there was a woman, she said, well, I could really use a ride home. And this is before Uber or Lyft. And the person sitting next to her said, well, where do you live? They lived around the corner and they had never met each other. So one thing I'll just do, maybe a final shout out, is who here needs some help? We cannot read your mind. I can't give you a ride home today. You don't need a ride. But, who here needs some help? Who would like to ask for some help here and say, I'd love some help.
Myself. I definitely need it.
Okay, so I know World Youth Opportunity is looking for board members. Justin, what are you looking for?
Well, I need a million things. Capital. One thing I'm trying to do is be a food service and have reusable containers, so we're not impacting the environment. Trying to figure out things with that. No, I kind of need a million things, so I could write a whole list.
So one thing I'll coach you, Justin, is I'll say to you, one of the things you want to do when you ask for help is you want to think about how that other person can help you. So somebody in the chat earlier said that they were looking for somebody. Karen, you may have seen this. There was somebody who was looking for some help at a storage place. They were, I think it was 20 hours a week or something like that. They were paying $15. That immediately puts me into thinking, who do I know who could do that? So, when you ask for something big, it can be a little bit overwhelming. So if Justin, is there something you can give me that's visual that I can maybe achieve for you?
So actually, one thing I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get a food truck to, serve food, and on my website and everything, it's all there. I started a fundraising campaign to, raise that. The goal is 15,000 by the end of the year. So maybe just if you just liking the page or just, checking out my website, spreading it to a friend who may be interested. I could put it in the chat and everything, but yeah, kind of spreading the word on the fundraising campaign.
Okay, that sounds great. Go ahead and put your information into the chat and we can like that and do that for you. Who else needs some help?
I just have a question. Going back to the food truck thing, I know that you said that there was a bunch of other things that you need. Are you looking to do like every business at the same time? Do you have a business plan? Is it something that you've taken the time to like narrow down what you want to hone in on first, so you're not doing so many things at the same time and then not doing all of them well? If you do one, you do it well, then you can branch out from there. I just wasn't sure if that's something that you've thought of yet.
Yeah. I definitely have been working on my business plan. The goal would be for February. When I do start, I want to start, serving in low quantities on the weekends and kind of building up from there. But yeah, so still working things out though.
Well,
Do you
Justin,
have like a?
oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just saying, Justin, one way for you to make some quick money is we do our pitch contest coming up. So you could break out your business plan, get into our pitch contest, and you could possibly win yourself $1,000. But also, it doesn't stop there. We can also hook you up with getting 3 mentors to help you get through the process of getting your business set. We do accelerators, and this is a free program as well. So something you're interested in, you can look on the E4All website. You can sign up for the pitch contest to get yourself an opportunity to get you some quick money.
Can you put that in the chat, please?
I definitely will. You got it.
All righty. I think we're going to have a few more people who want to find out about that pitch competition. I watched a pitch competition in Indiana last week for people who were previously incarcerated, and it was remarkable to see that situation, that they had gone through a program and now they were pitching, and it was just terrific. So those pitches are helpful. And I assign people to watch Shark Tank and, get a little bit of a sense of how you can position it. What's the problem you solve? All that sort of stuff. Who else wants to ask for some help?
I wanted to just kind of chime in for Justin. Having been there, go to the Small Business Development Center. Cheryl Miller helped me over there. She was amazing. She helped me with my whole business plan. They literally have like templates, and it will say, this is what you need to put in, and then you make it your own. And if it wasn't for them over there, I wouldn't even know where to start with a business plan. They'll help you with the financial part of it. They help you break it down to the point where you can kind of get margins for what you think your profits will be for the next 3 years. That was a huge help with my business. Was starting, literally, that's exactly where I started, was right there in that office. So if you haven't done so, go do so. It will be super beneficial for you to go down to that office. Or I don't know if they have it virtually and stuff now. So I think it's all virtual. So, but definitely get in contact.
Yes,
with
everything's
them.
virtually right now.
Yeah, definitely get in
Thank
contact
you.
with them. They're awesome over there. I love them.
Gotcha.
All right, we're going to wind up here. Anybody else want to do a last shout out for some help?
Yeah, I had asked earlier about business processes. Specifically, I was looking at for video production.
And so you need to help me out here. You need a
Oh,
product.
sure. So like basically,
Offer video production, or you're looking to get some video production?
no, I offer video production, but the whole thing is the process itself, not just doing the actual video production editing, but the business side of that part.
Yeah.
Like fulfillment, onboarding, those type of things. Like that's fresh to me. I have my own little part set up, but I want to really tighten it up so it actually works better.
E4All is your spot too. You might want to holler at me.
I wrote it down, Ike. I have it right here.
All right.
I think E4All is your spot, and I can say that the number one thing you need to have is a customer. So what you really need to do is learn how to get sales.
Yeah. That's what I'm working out now with some folks I'm already working with, testing it out and getting responses. So
that's great. That's great.
So Gus, another resource for you, our SCORE mentor group has 11,000 volunteers nationwide, and with technology being what it is, you may connect with somebody who's got experience in the field. So definitely go to SCORE, Worcester chapter, and connect, with them and see, if they can connect you with a mentor that has experience on the field.
Mhm.
So definitely, you know, I would say out of their vast network of mentors, you may connect with somebody who's got actual hands-on experience
Mhm.
and be able to provide you some you know, critical technical assistance and guidance.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Eli, Karen, any final comments before we kind of sign off and get some lunch and move on with our Friday?
Just that all these resources that are being mentioned are listed in our digital program book for Worcesterpreneurs, and I will email that out to all attendees, so you will get that, and you can reach out to everybody.
Terrific. Eli, anything with you?
I definitely appreciate everybody's time. I know this is, you know, time is the most valuable asset we all have, especially in a time like this. So thank you all for joining us today, and you know, enjoy the nice long weekend for those who have Mondays off.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. It was
guys.
nice to
Thank
meet
you.
everybody.
Have a nice
Absolutely.
weekend, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Here.
Alicia, I'll hit you up. I definitely want some seasonings as well. And for everyone here, I'm going to save the chat, and hopefully we could link up on any social media, because the one thing I know, Natalie knows this as well, because I've worked with her for a long time and a long time family friend. Like, shares, and comments on any social media platforms will make
Yes.
or break you. So for everyone here, the one thing I would say, Diane, is anytime I could have someone share it, you'd be surprised how many people deal with seasonal depression or any type of social, you know, an ailment that might be associated with CBD, despite we're not able to say it. So like, share, comment, helps us.
Well, and also
Thank
if you
you.
guys need anything for holiday gifting, whether it's gift baskets, whether it's your clients that you want to say thank you for the holidays, or just even giving them a small little token of your appreciation for COVID. Like, we're all getting through it together. You don't have to spend a lot. We can create something for any budget. So just let me know, and we deliver all over Massachusetts. We can also ship. The baskets are a little bit harder to ship, but if we're doing like a small little gift box for your clients, we ship those all over the country.
Terrific. Well, thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend, and we'll catch you another time.
All
Thank
right,
you.
wonderful.
Yes.